Let's get nice and comfortable. Letting go, releasing the body. With each exhalation, releasing your soft tissue throughout your whole body. And the more you allow all of the soft tissue to sort of hang and be comfortable, to release from its tendency to grip and try to hold up the universe, the more free the structure, the skeletal system, all of the various structures throughout the body, has an opportunity to release upward. Decompressing the spine. So as you soften your shoulders, releasing your throat, the sides of your neck, the back of your neck, as that decompresses the cervical spine, the bones in your neck, it's as though the crown of your head floats up. And again, I want to say it just because it's such a common misunderstanding. Please do not push your head up and back. Instead, you release it. The release that you're making happens out and down through the body. The expansion that happens because we decompress happens on its own. Exhaling, softening further. But remember that softening does not mean slumping or slouching or collapsing. You line up your structure, crown of the head over the spine, weight resting just in front of the sitting bones, your body soft and upright, and then through and around that structure you let go. Taking all of the weight and compression from that structure so it expands naturally. Like that tensegrity toy that I was showing off that has disappeared. If I'm not compressing it, it naturally expands out. Allowing your breath to be natural, unhindered. If you'd like it to become deeper or finer, more even, softer, more tranquil, tranquility is a result of this quality of the quiet mind. Softness is a result of your body letting go, no longer gripping and contracting hard. This depth and fineness results from releasing all of the obstructions to the breath. And then as you release those internal obstructions, and the breath begins to become more pleasant, all on its own, you don't have to do anything to it. That softens the external frame even more, causing you to release even further, so that your spine decompresses, you get even a little bit taller than before. Your back feels free, your hips, your shoulders, all the way to your fingers and your toes, releasing more easily. Just another few moments. Continuing to soften the mind, which means we don't hold our awareness in the present moment or in the body. We simply notice when we're being distracted, when our mind gets agitated and becomes tense and wanders away. And we become aware of the distraction. This awareness actually nourishes the mind. And when we let it go, we just soften the distraction by being disinterested, by letting go of the agitation. Not only is the mind strengthened in a healthy way, grounded, but the awareness naturally drifts back to the present moment, settling in your body, getting free from illusion, delusion, which just by itself would be an awfully good outcome. In a moment, we will begin working on the head and the face, the neck, the throat, and eventually sinking the qi down to the belly for an extended period of time. But before I take my headphones off, as usual, please let me welcome all of the people that are new here, that are unsure of what they're supposed to be doing right now. Please do check down below for the link to the introductory lesson. It's all free. And that will help you follow along with the live class more easily because it'll feel less confusing and strange. Warming your hands, make sure they're warm and very soft before putting them on your body. black pu'er tea. Delicious. Softening your whole body, continuously coming back. Releasing open the front of the shoulder. Start to feel into your own postural imbalances, for instance. And if you are somebody, as for so many of us, like me, you have this tendency to come forward, then softening open, not pulling back, but softening that space open out in this direction is the way to begin to heal that, is one way to begin to heal that. And so by softening this layer of the fascial system, this space just beneath the skin, by letting your awareness soak in here, opening all of this, especially this line just in front of the shoulder, lung 1 and lung 2, these points here, then it makes it much easier for your shoulder to fall back into this appropriate position, shoulder's nest. Lots of deer running around today. We've created several waterfalls and streams on the property. And one in particular that I'm looking at here is the spring water plants are coming up inside the streams. And all of the deer find them very tasty, apparently. And so they're just busily standing in the water, munching. Easy. Keep all of this relaxed, comfortable. Lung 5, just to the outside of that tendon in the soft spot. Using your fingers or your palm, base of your thumb, whatever it is that feels like it most releases that layer. Remember, you're not trying to poke at the point and stimulate it. Rather, you're trying to find the space just deep to the skin. And your awareness may follow that layer of connective tissue down into the joint itself. It might get drawn inward, and that's okay. But do allow your mind to soak in and to soften the space. And then as well, large intestine 11, 10, 9, in line with that index finger. You might find that the fold of your elbow more or less ends at that point for most people. Just a reminder that the shape of your mind is friendly, gentle, kind, open, non-judgmental. You're simply here, paying attention, giving your system the chance to let go. Pericardium 6, Sanjiao 5, the inner and outer gates. And again, just to describe my experience, because this is a space that for the past couple of weeks has been obstructed for me for some reason. So as I stimulate and connect my awareness to these points, this brings chi flow to the space, just how we're hooked up. And there's this increase in pressure that I feel, warmth floods the area, and then soreness, achiness in certain directions inside the joint. And so I continue to stimulate, continue to release. And it starts to let go and fill the space out. Whatever old damage is there, it's taking its time to heal. But this is how we engage with it. Just gently, consistently. Don't overdo it. But as your awareness begins to soak into your body, and for the people that have been with us now for, 78 days or something like that we're on, then it should be getting easier and easier to feel your body. And to definitely know when your mind isn't soaking into your body, because that's also progress. And over time, with consistent practice, your mind finds its way into your tissues, settling into something actually happening, rather than simply your thoughts and conceptions and illusions. And please do what I was doing and take extra time in those spaces that seem especially resistant or troublesome, or if it feels especially good one day, then just stay there. Let the healing continue until it's time to move on. That's also part of listening. Gently warming, letting your awareness reach into this space. The more awareness that is there, the easier it becomes to soften this very commonly contracted space. And just remember that this whole area in the upper back and the shoulders, the back of the neck, it won't be able to soften until you adjust your posture from day to day. So if you're continuously forcing your body into a position where it's required to tighten just in order to keep from collapsing to the ground, then it'll be an uphill, endless battle. The Sisyphus version of Qigong. Instead, we correct the mistake, make it possible for the body to release. Softer and more open with each moment. Remember, all three positions here on the forearm. And if there's another location that for you feels especially tight, especially on your dominant arm, then please take the extra time and release your wrist so that it can begin to soften. Your hands soft, continuously letting go. Continuously expressing movement from the center. You may notice in these movements that I'm moving here and it's coming out through my body. I'm not just moving my fingers. As much as you can, engage your whole body as you soften. And by engage, I mean let go, gently make space. The softer you are, the more the movement tends to spread through your body. Hands released. Spinning as long as you need in each point. Again, for many people on their dominant hand, there's a lot of excess tension in these spaces. And as your awareness soaks into them, you may notice that feeling of discomfort or resistance, or simply becoming aware of your own tension finally, or your own fatigue. In which case, you just want to be a little present and rest there for a moment. Simply placing your awareness inside the tissues and letting your mind rest there without pushing your mind is very nourishing. Nourishing for an aspect of your mind as well. Most of these we do 36, but you take as long as you need. And if you find that even with all of this physical contact and movement and intention and my constant reminders to come back, if you find that it's still very difficult for your awareness to be present, some people find it very helpful to count. And so you might, on each of these movements, as you're making these circles, count the circles. Don't get lost in the numbers. Stay present with your body. But sometimes by adding that intellectual piece, it gives your mind something shiny to play with. It's one aspect of the mind that we tend to not use during this set. But maybe by counting, you'll notice that it's a little bit easier for you to stay with the movement. So that's one opportunity to try if you'd like. But if you don't need it, then it's better to be without it, to just have clear mind. But I know sometimes we need as many useful tools as we can get. continually softening your awareness. When it wanders away, you relax the mind, relax the agitation. Don't react to the distraction, and your mind will come back. And each time it will come back softer and more able to soak in. Less like ice, more like water, perhaps. As your mind softens, you'll notice that your body continues to equally let go. Part of our practice is to unite the mind and the body rather than keeping everything separate. One of the great disease causes in these Daoist practices and Chinese medicine is this tendency to treat the body and the mind like they're separate. The whole mind over matter thing. These kinds of ideas. We want to allow our awareness to reside in the body, to recognize the embodied quality of our mind. And we can do that by actually connecting with our body. Awareness soaking in. And aware in the right way. We're not pushing our mind. Awareness rests without judgment, without context. This just soft, open, friendly awareness that is natural to everybody. Just like the sunlight falling on these trees and flowers around me. It just falls. It's not trying to get anything from it or do anything. It's not choosing one tree and not another. It's just present, warm, consistent, brightens the area. Your awareness soaking into that space between the navel and the spine. If you're unable to feel the space beneath your navel, then at the very least feel your navel, or that point opposite in the lower back. And remember that if you happen to be pregnant or having an especially strong menstrual flow, where there might be a lot going on in this area and making it difficult, you can also, if you're in those circumstances, use that space in the solar plexus, just beneath the rib cage here, and allow your awareness to gather there, if that's easier. Welcome, Mags. Yeah, we started an hour ago. You may have missed the time change in the US, unless your time already changed over there again. It's all confused these days. But do allow me to welcome with you a quiet and meaningful I knew. And we've increased the number of movements on the lower back, but just as a reminder, make sure that you don't deform your shoulders or your back as you do the movements. You can also use the backs of your hands if that's easier than your palms. And always be as soft as you can, move as slowly as you need to, and take breaks. Or just do fewer repetitions, that's okay too. And then when you are finished, you can allow your hands to simply rest on the lower back, the warmth of the palms soaking into the tissue there, warming, releasing. Remember that your awareness is connecting with that layer between the musculature and the skin. But you may find your awareness diving deep into the spine or the in-between spaces, since all of that tissue is connected under there. But do find your way into the body and help it release. Remember that, especially if this line here, this IT band, as we often call it in the biz, is very tight, then you don't want to be poking at it and pressing on it, using the thumper or trying to do these things. You'll just irritate this tissue that isn't muscle. It's, just connective tissue stretched over the bone here. So by softening and allowing your awareness to warm and release this space, all of this tension softens away. And then we can work at either end of that IT band as a way to soften it as well. But don't be pressing into it or agitating it. On the inside of the knee here, top inside of the knee, spleen 10, liver 8 is the sea of blood point. Easing that space beneath the knee. Stomach 36. Remember that in this position, as you lean forward, hinge from the hips, keep your back straight and long through the neck. Your breath is soft, your belly is relaxed. Don't grip. Find a way to position yourself so that you don't have to add tension into this body that you're busily softening. Everyone's body is in a different shape at the moment, so you'll have to find a way that works for you. And then spleen 9, gallbladder 34 on the side. Turn so you can see them both. All of this easy. The warmth of your palms soaking into the knees. If your knees are especially sore today, spend extra time, spend twice as long. This is a wonderful practice for softening and easing any tension in the knees. Remember that you don't want to be bracing with your hips or adding tension. Keep your legs soft. Always when you're sitting, your legs are soft. You're simply moving in such a way that it's gentle and easy for you not to have to tighten your hips or your low back or your breath or your mind. No tightening. Find a way to become more stable through softness, through expansion and letting go. Same thing with your mind and your emotional structure. Stability through release. Softening your palms and your fingers as you release the calf. Spleen 6. 3 yin crossing. San yin jiao. And equally, just as a reminder, I sit like this because of the chair that I'm in and the position that I am in front of the camera here. If this is uncomfortable or painful for your knees, for instance, it is just fine to lie in your bed and pull your knees to your chest or find some other position that allows you to stimulate these points. No need to copy me if it's uncomfortable or just not easy. helping your feet spread open and become soft. Especially if you're going to be joining me for the next 100-day series, which will include things like standing posture and these kinds of practices, less sitting practice. And it can become uncomfortable when you begin standing posture if your feet are already hard, cold, and flexible. It's more uncomfortable to try to soften them through standing than it is through gentle massage and warming of your palms. Might as well do it the easy way. Washing your legs. Remember to be careful and gentle with your back. Either sitting on the ground, as I often do, in the other room. If you follow the way I'm doing it in the chair, simply fold from the hips as best you can, even if it's only to your knees and back. It's okay to just listen to your body. Eventually, with practice, if your body softens, and it's able to, then this kind of movement feels like nothing. And that's what we're going for. No stretch, no pulling back, just this gentle folding and unfolding. Moving all the way up the base of the hip. Remember that your legs are soft and easy. Don't tighten up. Don't start gripping. And then, with the feet, I'll mimic with my hands. Big toe, little toe. Big toe, little toe. Arching and rounding, shaping the foot. As much as you can, moving through softness. You're not trying to tighten your feet. If your feet do begin to spasm or to feel like they're cramping, then take a break. There's no rush. Hopefully you stop before then. You're simply waking up your feet. And then grasping with your toes. I hope that everybody is doing these foot practices before they get out of bed in the morning. Warming your feet as well. Remember that you're turning your waist, turning your navel, not twisting your chest. It is okay to move your upper spine and your neck a little bit as well. But in the very least, you want to begin setting free your waist, your lower back. Eventually, this area becomes very mobile and free, but only through softness. I'll begin doing the practices for the tongue and the throat and the teeth. And so I changed the order somewhat to give people a break for their tongue. And so the clicking of the tongue, lengthening of the tongue. Again, because we've gotten so far in this practice, I'm increasing the number slightly, but don't do so many that you start to feel tight. Just stop before then. We're just trying to warm this area up. And then clicking the teeth, or if your teeth feel sensitive, touching your teeth together and pressing them together. and then swishing the tongue around the mouth in both directions until your base of your tongue feels warm before it starts to get tired. And gathering that saliva up, swallowing it down. If you can, follow this movement down to that space behind the navel, and then coming to rest, letting your awareness accumulate there for a few minutes. And of course, if you'd like to spend a couple of minutes lying flat, feel free to do so. I'll just stay sitting. You want to let your whole body soften and relax as much as possible, letting go. Your breath is free, your awareness spreads out through your body. softening to your fingertips and your toes, feeling that space that we've been cultivating beneath the skin, that fascial layer, that membrane layer, like you're wearing a wetsuit beneath your skin, covering your body. You can feel it warm and stretch slightly as you soften. And at some point, when you feel ready, you can roll onto your side and sit up if you're not already. We want to begin to reshape how we exist in our bodies, rather than feeling as though we're dwelling full time in the head or maybe in the chest, or for some people, outside their body, which is not great. Instead, allow your awareness to settle in that space, in the center of your body, that middle dantian space. Just a little bit of awareness resting there. And then from that point, as though that's where you're looking out from, you become aware of the rest of the body, and then the rest of the space that you're in, staying grounded, seated as it were, within the belly, the seat of awareness, inside. Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Mel is asking for a friend about a warm-up in order to soften the shoulders before we even begin, because she already has, or excuse me, her friend already has tension in her shoulders as she begins. You can certainly do things like shoulder rolls, these kinds of movements to help open and relieve them. If your friend happens to know any other Qigong methods, then they could, of course, use that as a way to help open. The 8 brocades would be a good one. For instance, Ba Duan Qin, any of the Han Yuan stuff, even just some light Taiji as a way to kind of soften and mobilize, especially if they had a day of non-movement and clenching over a keyboard or something, depending on what your friend does. All of that can help to soften them up a little bit. And then we begin to mobilize and use them. But this form itself is asking you to soften your shoulders. And so in a way, this form is one of those Qigong methods. But it certainly would make sense to take some time to loosen things up first as best you can. But if you happen to be able to ask your friend, in a few weeks we'll be starting the next 100-day series, which is centered around neck and shoulder release. And so that will be fantastically helpful as a method, in my opinion. Thanks, Steph. Thanks for coming. I'm glad that you liked it. Okay, looks like that's all. Don't get too excited for the next class. First, finish this one. Oh, gotta ask the mill. We have the Turtle Talk podcast is the most requested class I've ever done. It's not even a class. People just love Mel. We were going to record last night, but things got away from us. Life keeps getting in the way. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all being here. Enjoy your practice.